And, of course, with Brooks Agnew, and the lines are steaming hot. We'll be back with your calls in a moment on Coast to Coast AM. Brooks, you're a believer in meditation, aren't you?
Yeah, I've been doing meditation since I was 18, but I learned I was doing it wrong. I tried transcendental meditation for a long time. Great for relaxing and getting a quiet mind. And then I took a class in Flower of Life meditation with Drunvalo Melchizedek and 2 advanced classes with Maureen St. Germain. And I learned a very, very fast way of getting into a meditative state. And they teach you a 17-breath method, and they hint at an 18th breath. I did the research, and I came up with the 18th breath, which we put into the book. And the reason we did this is, remember I was talking to you about the tetherball, listening for that ball to come around, listening for the universe to send you back the exact moment that you step through the door or make the next move on your dream. Takes a meditative state, because we live in a very noisy world, and sometimes we have very noisy minds, and people want a very practical, simple way to get into a meditative state without twisting their bodies up like a pretzel.
Interesting. Okay, let's go to the calls. They're starting to line up for you. Marianne in Florida, first-time caller. Hi, Marianne.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. I want to ask, when the pole shift, will the sun come up in the west?
It will definitely appear to come up in the west, because your compass will be reversed. There's also the idea that if we get a pole shift, that the core actually flips over. And if that happens, the momentum of the core, which is far more dense than the crust, stops the crust from rotating and reverses the rotation of the Earth. If that happens, the cataclysm that will occur would be indescribable.
Oh, I see.
All right, thanks, Marianne. Next up, east of the Rockies, Christopher in Kentucky. Hi, Christopher.
Hello, George, and hello, Brooks.
Hi, Christopher.
It's good speaking to you both. I had a question about you were talking about the black hole. That will it cause changes within our sun to cause the burst of solar flares to hit the Earth? Will it cause the change?
Yes. What will happen is, of course, it coincides with a solar maximum, a solar cycle 24. Mm-hmm. The Mayans believe that when the solar flare occurs, the sun will be on the opposite side of the Earth from the black hole. And what will happen is the black hole will attract the solar flare many tens of millions of miles further into space than it would normally, say, for a normal coronal mass ejection. The sun is 93 million miles away from Earth, and if it came 50 or 60 million miles into space towards Earth, the cosmic radiation in the upper atmosphere would be extremely intense. It would probably wipe out all of our satellites. And I don't know what I would do without a cell phone. Do you?
No, I wouldn't know what to do. But thank you for taking my question.
Thank you.
Next up, wildcard line, TJ.
Yeah, this is TJ from Tucson, Arizona.
Aha, go ahead,
yeah.
sir.
And my question is, I was always under the impression that the North Pole ice caps was floating in the Arctic Sea. And if there's a hole up there, wouldn't it be underwater? So how could you sail to a hole that's underwater?
Well, it would appear that way, but what happens is if the crust is thin, like it's expected to be, then the gravitational pull is going to be less where that crust is thin. So what happens is the ocean actually pulls away from that central area. Anciently, it was called an oceanic depression. The Russians, many of the sailors we've talked to, have claimed that they've sailed near it. But it's very difficult with Earth instruments, even GPS satellites, to detect. You'll need a precision gyroscope to be able to tell when you sail into it, because the curvature of this could spread over between 80 and 200 miles. You're just not going to get that kind of perspective sailing on the ocean. You can only see 8 or 9 miles to the horizon.
So there's no way for a submarine to completely sail completely under the North Pole ice caps, it would eventually hit land and have to turn around?
Well, unfortunately, the submarines that sailed underneath the polar cap sailed under the North Pole. We're actually going several hundred miles from the North Pole, near the Arctic Circle. We're actually only going to 84 degrees north, so we're still 6 degrees away from the actual pole. Where the nuclear submarine sailed would be quite a ways away from where this predicted hole is thought to be.
And our satellites can't take pictures of it because of the cloud cover?
Yes, most of the satellites, especially polar satellites, unfortunately, the data is blocked from us. February of 2006, the federal government passed a Data Denial Act, which prevents real-time data from being shared with the general public during times of conflict or war, which would certainly correspond with the time we're in now. Unfortunately, pictures before that time that we were able to get were from 60 degrees south, and we just didn't get any data from 40 degrees, from the last 40 degrees up to the pole. It's constantly covered with cloud cover. Now, we do have X-ray photographs, and we have infrared photographs, and those are on the website at phoenixsciencefoundation.org, and you can clearly see a void underneath the clouds.
Well, all this is very intriguing. I hope you're very successful, and thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
The trip itself is fascinating, and when you eventually get us back the data, that will be even more so. I think you're going to find something, Brooks.
Well, we're going to a place that's never been seen before by sea. I think that's been seen by air. Obviously, Admiral Byrd saw it and recorded whatever he recorded. Those records are in question, and I don't really take eyewitness accounts with too much credulity. I prefer data, and if I can get film, or I can get sea samples, or if I can tell the difference in sea chemistry, if I can take samples of the core of or the sea floor there, 4,500 meters down, then I'll have real data. Then I can come back and say, you know what, something is definitely different here.
All right, next up, let's go to our first-time caller line, Marty in Delaware. Hey, Marty.
Hey, how you guys doing tonight?
We're great.
Thanks.
Great. Interesting guest. I forgot your name, but I'm really fascinated by what you're saying.
His name is Brooks Agnew.
Okay. Nice to meet you, or talk to you. But anyway, what's fascinating to me is I've been getting everything you're saying has been coming to me like just by thought over the last couple of weeks for some reason. And
wow.
what you're saying about how we pass on to another dimension, and some of us can go without being destroyed with the rest of the earth, is what you were saying?
Yeah, you're not the first to tell me that. As we were doing our interviews and our research for the book, people from all walks of life. I've had an expert in Arctic seafloor tectonics. Now, that's a pretty narrow area of geology. Right. Call me on the phone and tell me not only did she want to come on the expedition, but that she was having visions. And I thought, gee, this is really strange for scientists to be calling me and telling me that, their biological transducer body is picking up information from something other than a sophisticated instrument.
There's two things that what you're saying that I'm having thoughts to add into.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about why we just can't remember a little bit more, because I think when we're lifted into the next dimension, our knowledge gets erased. In other words, once we leave, we don't remember anything.
Well,
but we have a small portion of that is why we have deja vu. We still have deja vu today. We can remember just a little bit, and it comes to us here and there. It's like right on the tip of our tongue, and we just can't get it. And the thing about it is what I'm feeling right now is that I'm not afraid of death at all for some reason over the last, like I said, a couple of weeks, because life is endless. All we are is like pockets of energy, and we just transfer to the next dimension. And I think knowledge starts all over again. And